Carlos Alcaraz's reaction to Jannik Sinner's 3-month tennis ban. Tennis superstar Carlos Alcaraz has given his thoughts on the doping ban of rival and current world number 1 Jannik Sinner in the lead-up to the ATP Qatar Open in Doha. While Sinner has taken over the position of the world's best male tennis player since the start of 2024, the Italian's dominance has been hit by controversy after the revelation that he tested positive twice for low traces of clostebol back in March 2024 during that year's Indian Wells tournament. Since then, the tennis world has been waiting for the outcome, with an agreement finally being reached last week between the World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA, and Sinner's legal team before the case for appeal was to be heard, landing on a 3-month suspension from tennis starting from the 9th of February for the world number 1. Carlos Alcaraz doesn't care about Jannik Sinner's suspension. The Spaniard is focusing elsewhere. Unsurprisingly, there has been some curiosity about the reaction of Sinner's main competition, with fellow young superstar Alcaraz at the top of the list. Yet, when asked about Sinner by AS, the Spaniard revealed that the ban has little effect on what he's focused on right now, translated from Spanish. As for the sanction, there is little to say. Right now, as always, we are trying to focus on what we have to train, on what we have to improve, and from there we are going to do our best in the tournaments to try to get closer to number 1. Whether Jannik plays or not, we try to do well in every tournament because number 1 is an objective. The man dubbed as the next Rafael Nadal has taken over the position of top seed for the Qatar Open and retains his status as the favorite for the French Open, where he won last year on a clay surface that suits his exciting playing style the best. Jannik Sinner's 3-month suspension from tennis explained. The Italian will, fortunately for him, not miss a single Grand Slam. The explanation surrounding the Sinner doping case was that it was the result of an accidental exposure caused by the Italian's former physio, Giacomo Naldi, who was giving his compatriot a massage not long after having treated a cut on his finger with a spray that contained clostebol. This explanation was accepted by an independent tribunal handling as Sinner was believed to have no fault in the event and cleared of any cheating intention. WADA appealed the decision to the Court of Arbitration for Sport in September 2024, calling for a minimum 12-month ban for the Italian. The trial with the appeal was set to be handled in April before the agreement for 3 months was reached. The result of the 3-month ban means that not only has Sinner been forced to skip the Qatar Open, but he will also miss almost all tournaments in the lead-up to the French Grand Slam, which will hamper his match readiness for the biggest clay court tournament of the year. While missing any period of tennis is unfavorable, not having to skip a Grand Slam is a somewhat fortunate fate for the reigning Australian Open champ, especially considering the recent history of doping cases in the sport. The leniency for Sinner will likely only add to the claims by players and experts that some were getting much better treatment in these cases, also pointing to women's number 2 Iga Swiatek receiving a 1-month ban back in October after testing positive for trimetazidine. Current players such as Nick Kyrgios, Novak Djokovic, and Stan Wawrinka have shared their disappointment at a lack of transparency and consistency in the system, while former British star Tim Henman called it a little too convenient and that it leaves a pretty sour taste for the sport. Sinner will surely be thanking his lucky stars that his punishment was lighter than it could have been, but the entire debacle seems to highlight a crucial flaw in the manner of how doping cases are handled in tennis, with a potential need for change.